the truth about loneliness nobody talks about. You're surrounded by people right now, friends, family, coworkers, and yet somehow you feel completely alone. Pause, that's not weakness. That's not you being broken. That's actually one of the most complex psychological experiences a human being can have. In this video, you're going to find out exactly why some people feel lonely even in a crowded room, what's happening in their brain, what childhood experiences shape it, and what it quietly reveals about who you really are. Because here's what most people never realize: if you don't understand why you feel this way, you'll spend the rest of your life thinking something is wrong with you. And nothing could be further from the truth. Stay with me. This channel exists for one reason: to help you understand yourself and the people around you using real psychology. No fluff, no clickbait, just the science of human behavior broken down in a way that actually makes sense. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here before, you already know what we're about. Let's get into it. What is this feeling actually called? Psychologists call it emotional loneliness. Pause, and it's completely different from social loneliness, which is simply not having people around you. Emotional loneliness is when you have people around you, but none of those connections feel real. None of them feel deep. You can be at a party, laughing, talking, fitting in perfectly, and still feel like you're watching everything from behind glass. Like you're there, but not really there. Robert Weiss, a Harvard sociologist, was one of the first researchers to identify this distinction back in the 1970s. He found that what people crave isn't just company, it's intimacy, genuine understanding, the feeling of being truly known by another person. And for some people, that feeling is almost impossible to find, not because no one cares about them, but because something deep inside makes it hard to let anyone in. Pause, so what causes that? It starts earlier than you think. Pattern interrupt, shift tone slightly darker. For most people who experience this, it started in childhood. Not necessarily through trauma. Sometimes it's subtle. Maybe you were the kid who felt like you had to perform to be loved. Maybe your emotions were dismissed, stop being so sensitive, so you learned to hide them. Maybe you moved around a lot and never got to build deep friendships. Or maybe you were just different, and you knew it. When a child repeatedly experiences the feeling that their emotional world isn't welcome, that their real self isn't safe to show, they adapt. They build a version of themselves that's more acceptable, more likable, more manageable, and they show that version to the world. Pause, the problem: when people connect with that version of you, you don't actually feel connected, because they're not connecting with the real you. They're connecting with the mask, and that's exactly where the loneliness lives. The brain science behind it. Here, where it gets fascinating. Pause, neuroscientists at the University of Chicago found that chronically lonely people, even when surrounded by others, actually process social information differently. Their brains are more alert to social threats. They're scanning for rejection, for judgment, for signs that this connection isn't safe. It's almost like an alarm system that never fully turns off. And here's the cruel irony: that hypervigilance, that constant scanning for danger, is the very thing that keeps genuine connection away. Because you can't fully relax into a relationship when part of your brain is always waiting for something to go wrong. Psychologists call this the loneliness loop. The fear of not being accepted makes you guard yourself. Guarding yourself keeps people at a surface level. Surface level connections feel empty, and the emptiness confirms the fear. Pause, round and round it goes. The personality types most affected. Not everyone experiences this equally. Research shows that highly sensitive people, those who process emotions and environments more deeply than average, are significantly more likely to feel this type of loneliness. Why? Because their inner world is so rich, so detailed, so complex, that casual conversation genuinely doesn't satisfy them. Small talk feels like trying to feed a hunger with air. They need depth. They need meaning. They need someone who actually wants to go there with them. Pause, introverts often experience this too, but for a slightly different reason. Introverts don't just need less social interaction. They need the right kind, quality over quantity. And in a world that rewards surface-level socializing, finding that quality connection is genuinely hard. Pause. And then there are people with anxious attachment, those who desperately crave closeness but simultaneously fear it. They want to be loved deeply, but the moment someone gets close, something inside them panics. and they pull away, or they overgive, or they test the relationship until it breaks. Pause sound familiar. What this actually reveals about you. Here, what I want you to take from this. Pause, feeling lonely even around people is not a sign that you are broken, unlovable, or too difficult to connect with. It's actually a sign of something profound. You have a deep capacity for connection. You want something real. You're not willing to settle for shallow. And that is rare. Most people spend their entire lives surrounded by acquaintances they call friends, never once experiencing the kind of connection that makes you feel truly seen. You feel the absence of that because you're wired for something deeper. Pause the work, and work is learning to slowly lower the guard. Not all at once, not with everyone, but finding those one or two people, giving yourself permission to be imperfect with them, to be uncomfortable, to risk being truly known. Pause because the loneliness doesn't end when you find the right people. It ends when you let them find the real you. The one shift that changes everything. Psychologist Brené Brown spent years studying human connection. What she found was simple but devastating. You cannot selectively numb emotion. When you shut down the parts of yourself that feel vulnerable, you also shut down the parts that feel joy, love, and belonging. Pause, the loneliness you feel isn't the enemy. It's a signal. It's your mind telling you, I want more than this. I deserve more than this. Pause, and the first step toward that is exactly what you're doing right now, understanding yourself.